Episode 17, Wheel of SNES. Had a rough go of it last time, Josh. Read the intro to a wrong game. I had in my mind that this was going to be RoboCop versus Terminator. It was not. Spoiler alert. This was just regular old Terminator. I guess one thing kind of mentioned, might be getting ahead of things, is this is, I think, the third Terminator game on the Super Nintendo. You had Terminator, you had T2, and then you had the RoboCop versus Terminator. That's one that may have the coolest box art of any Super Nintendo game, just because it's actually got like a 3D cover. It looks like twisted metal or rubber or something.
We looked it up. It looked cool.
So this is not that game. It is the OG Terminator. I'm going to read you a little bit from the back of the box, Josh. The battle to save future has begun. You are Kyle Reese. Your mission: go back in time to protect Sarah Connor, mother of John Connor, leader of the resistance of the future. The enemy: Cyberdyne Systems Model 101, the Terminator. Outside living human tissue, inside a hyperalloy combat chassis. Fully armored, it can't be reasoned with, it won't be bargained with, and it doesn't feel pity or remorse, and it absolutely will not stop ever until you are destroyed. The Terminator brings home all the excitement, tension, and non-stop action of the smash hit movie. I would say that sounds like an accurate, that's pretty much the Terminator.
That's the Terminator, man.
I think that if you never watched this movie, that pretty well covers it.
Yep. The only thing it's lacking is a naked Arnold Schwarzenegger.
So, there is, not so fast, there is somewhat naked Arnold Schwarzenegger in this game, Joshua. So just kind of go over it. If you don't know, if you've been, I don't know what I would say was really put Arnold Schwarzenegger on the map. I would say that, maybe Commando. But Terminator really, really put him on the map. And I think Terminator 2 actually is what carried the whole franchise. Terminator 1 is just okay for me. First one I ever watched was T2, so it's a little tough. But so this game is based off the movie. So get this, the movie was made in 1984. And the game came out in 1992. It just seems like that movie was so old compared to it. But it was less than 10 years old when the game was made. So it really wasn't too far from it. A little bit early in the Super Nintendo's life cycle. One thing I did notice, something I noticed, and a little bit of a fun fact to squeeze in there, doesn't really mean a whole lot nowadays because, when you say billions and stuff, it's just a number. But the Terminator altogether is well over a $1 billion franchise.
Oh, easy. I can believe that 100%.
And we made a joke, I think, at the last one, or we may have made it off recording. This is the second Super Nintendo game that we played that starred Arnold Schwarzenegger. Let's go one more. This is out of 17 games. This is the second game that had Arnold, based off a movie that Arnold Schwarzenegger was in, that James Cameron directed. Because he directed True Lies, too. So technically, that's like in the past 3 or 4 games we got to. So that's just kind of neat to me.
Not only that, but if you add it up, too, this is also our third game based off of a movie?
You got True Lies. You got Dracula. This would be the third one.
Unless you count The Untouchables.
Well, technically, I think you do have to count it, even if it's a TV show. So this would be the fourth one.
Yeah, so 4.
So we're going about a little bit less than a 25% rate on movie games.
Yeah.
So for those,
this is No Escape, True Lies.
Oh, I forgot about No Escape.
Dracula.
You're right. We're over 25%.
So this is the 4th.
So, this game was released in 92. Now, I think there's some variance in gameplay. They had, this was released on the Super, the Sega, the Game Gear. This was a pretty major movie. Anybody that could get a license, get a game on this thing was getting it. I think there was one on Sega CD. I don't know. There's so many freaking Terminator.
Dude, it wouldn't be. I'd be amazed if it wasn't over every console at the time.
I looked up how many Terminator movies there exactly is because it just seems like they keep coming out. Which, don't get me wrong, I'll watch it. I'm gonna have some trivia for you a little later.
That's
Josh.
fine. That's fine. I love my trivia.
So one thing, was I don't know how many games was made. It seems like there's a Terminator game everywhere, and I mean it's not too uncommon to say this game is on pretty much every system that was alive at that time. One thing I thought was kind of strange was, it said the game was released by Mindscape, which they said it was on the startup screen. This is something I don't know if you noticed. It said it was sub-licensed to Mindscape. It also was sub-licensed, according to the credits of that game, to a company that is pretty damn well known. Just as I'm watching the credits as it's starting up, it said it was sub-licensed to Mindscape and sub-licensed to Bethesda.
I saw that.
So,
I love my Bethesda.
So, yeah, that was something. So basically, this game takes place. You're playing the role of Kyle Reese. You've been sent back in time to protect Sarah Connor, because Sarah Connor is going to be the mother of John Connor. And okay. We got machines, we got action, we've got the time travel. So basically, in the present day, the machines have took over. AI has pretty much... Skynet is just basically extincting or enslaving the humans. So they create... they create the technology that basically the leader of the resistance is John Connor. They send a Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger, back through time to kill John Connor or kill his mother so he's never born. So Kyle Reese goes back in time to try to save Sarah Connor. So it's a little crazy. I mean, you've watched the movies. It works. I mean, I have problems with their time travel. Nobody ever, I don't think, gets it right for my standard. But I like my Terminator time travel. I'm down with that.
It's a solid one, but again, time travel is something you can't do in movies. It's impossible. You can't do time travel correctly. Because it's always one of those things of, if I go back to this time frame, why didn't I go back farther? Why didn't I go back farther? So you can't do time travel. It's impossible to do time travels correctly in movies in general. My biggest question, though, with the time travel is, in the movies, why do they have to move them naked? Like, why? They said because it would burn the clothes off. Why didn't it burn the skin off?
I don't know what would happen if you were wearing like your polo you got on, Josh, and you time travel and it kind of... It dematerializes you. What happens if you go like, oh, my nipple's itching, and there's a button there instead of a nipple?
See, maybe, I don't know.
What if you have like a collar growing out of your side? I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
They didn't explain it, so I don't know. They just said you had to be naked, so have fun.
Hey, well, if there's a few things, all of them you're naked. So there's got to be a reason. Maybe our pea brains just can't understand it. So
maybe they could have summed it up a little better.
Maybe they know, but they just don't want to tell people. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's like the meaning of life or something.
Is that the whole reason why time travel doesn't exist now? Is because you got to do it naked, and human beings are too self-conscious?
Yes. Okay. Because everybody's going to go in there in their skivvies, and it ain't going to work. You got dicks out for her on there. All right, so that's pretty much the game. The gameplay is basically a side-scroller platformer, and you've got pretty basic controls. You got right, or you left and right move you. The B button, I believe it is. You got jump, you've got shoot,
you got jump,
and you've got two special buttons that really, as far as I'm concerned, if I didn't use a cheat to get the weapons, wouldn't have been really useful. But I think it said it was 6 levels. I think it was, to me, it was really just like 3 really long levels. But, what have you. And it's just side-scrolling, and basically you're carrying your gun, you're shooting Terminators. Some of them look like actual people. You got actual people in there as well. So you just keep traveling across trying to get it to Sarah Connor, just like in a movie, essentially. I ain't going to say the game is exactly like the movie, but the whole premise for it is. And so it's really just a run and gun, I guess, is what I would consider it to me.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's really a whole lot more to explain about the build-up of the game there. I mean, I think I told you it was in 92. So that does matter a little bit to me. But you want to go ahead and what makes and breaks the game, Josh?
Sure, let's do this.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and jump out and say that there's two things that really stand out. And I'm just going to go ahead with the controls and the graphics. I thought the controls were pretty crisp. Above average for what I thought it was going to be. The jump mechanic, it didn't seem like it was fluid. I mean, the jump was fine. It just seemed like he jumped way too high. It just seemed something was unnatural, but it was okay because it was consistent.
Not only that, but also at the same time, it wasn't floaty. That was my biggest downfall with Time Slip. Whenever you jumped, it was too floaty. This here, you jump, you fail. There was no lag in between each jump. So every time I hit that button, you jump. And it didn't seem like you hovered in the air too long.
Now, yeah, and I agree. And like say, just moving, I'll go ahead and tell you the game was, to me, it was incredibly tough. You couldn't really blame the controls for why you were dying. I mean, there was plenty of things that was going to kill you. Controls was not going to be one of them. The other thing, I think a lot of people beat up on this game because of the graphics. I think the graphics were pretty good for a 1992 game. I mean, if you graded it, if this game was made in 1994, I would not be digging the graphics.
No, this was solid graphics.
But, to me, Kyle Reese, I'm not going to say he looked kind of like a generic Contra dude running down through there, and I was okay with that. And, I mean, to be honest, the Terminators and stuff,
they look good.
They look good. And I'll tell you, another thing I got in here that looked really cool that goes along with the graphics was in the first stage, I kind of dug when, you're shooting the Terminators or the bots that are coming out, and you look it up and it looks like a human shooting at you, and you shoot him, and then it peels back his skin or something. He starts slowly turning into a robot. And I'm like, man, this was a 1992 game. There's some 94 games that we played that was way worse than this.
I enjoyed that too. And also one of my favorite things that happened to you is, I don't know if you noticed it, but you could tell where there was a Terminator lurking in the shadows by his red eyes.
Yeah, and that I did have that, like the Terminator coming out of the background on it. Now, sometimes when they got me and I wasn't paying no attention, it pissed me off, but it was pretty cool.
If you were paying attention, you could see it. It was awesome.
I thought that... and I appreciate that they did that instead of just having the random constantly spawns.
Just spawning.
That would have absolutely made the game unplayable. I mean, the game was tough in its own right, but at least there wasn't a whole lot of either respawning or reasons to go back where you would get respawned. So that was good. Another thing was there wasn't a whole lot to think about.
No, standard run and gun.
Yeah.
Arcade shooter.
And, you split hairs with, does the game need more of a story? But, I mean, hey, at the end of the day, you got... Before you can even... It ain't like you say, hey, here's a robot. I wonder if this Terminator is... or one of these whatever models these cyborgs are. I wonder if it's friendly. Oh no, it's trying to kill me. No, you're getting shot at immediately. So there's no oh God, I wonder if we're on the right side.
There's no team.
You see somebody, you kill them.
You against the world.
If you ain't Sarah Connor, then you shoot them.
If it's not a female gendered person, then you shoot it. It's just simple as that.
So that was one thing I did like, is you could just sit there and play it. You ain't got to think anything through. You ain't got to wonder if you missed something. The game was pretty straightforward. The levels were huge. That does come with a asterisk for me.
Yep.
But, I mean, for a Super Nintendo game, I don't know that it really hit the mark all the way. But at least they weren't lazy with it. They created monster level. I mean, these levels were ginormous for what I was expecting.
They were long.
For a game that was based off a movie, which you typically get something slapped together pretty quick, I could not believe how long these levels were.
Yeah.
So, another thing that I thought was kind of cool was the startup of it. So you get a picture of Arnold there in his leather jacket with, a little bit of his man boobs poking out there. And then I thought it was cool. So just putting a caveat on here, after about the 20 millionth time I died, I did go with unlimited ammo.
Oh, yeah, God mode.
And it did not keep me from getting killed. It just would give me lives and ammo. And so after I powered through the first stage, it gave you the cutscene of Arnold dropping down naked. Of course, it was very shadowy.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you see him pick up a phone book and at a phone booth, and you see him pull up Sarah Connor and get her address. And that was kind of cool.
Don't know what a phone booth is nowadays.
Well, they do. They watch. They'll know what a TARDIS is. That's close enough for
sure. Okay. Yeah. You gotta tell them what a TARDIS.
So, but basically, he would pull up a phone book and he looks up Sarah Connor's, and I mean, it does go along. The cutscenes go along with the movie pretty good, and I'm going to tell you, there's been worse cutscenes. Like, look at some of the cutscenes on the Sega CD and some of these other systems. I think the cutscenes on this look better than the ones in True Lies. Like the True Lies, like there was a few of them that looked good in True Lies, and there was some of them that were really rough, like that very first one where he was coming out of the sewers or out of the water. These were all pretty good cutscenes. There wasn't a whole lot, but I kind of enjoyed it because you watch the movie, you're like, oh man, that's where this happens. I mean, it's just like a reminiscent. You've got anything else, Josh? I've got one more thing to throw in here, and I don't know if how big or small your list is.
The list is small. The list is small. But no, like I said, you covered it. I mean, the last thing I had was at least the cutscenes were actually, they were good. They were still a little pixelated, but they were.
Oh, absolutely.
You could still, but like I said, you could notice that scene out of the movie. So I said I liked it. It wasn't terrible, but the stages, man alive, were they long.
So here's my last thing I'm going to put that's kind of cool, was the very last level of the game.
Yes, I didn't make it there.
Well, once again, I selected.
I didn't do God mode.
So the very last part of the game is like you're going through the industrial area, and you got Arnold peeled back with just his chrome dome there.
Okay.
And it's side scrolling, but the last level I thought was pretty cool. So it's side scrolling, kind of like them Super Mario levels where it keeps pushing you forward.
Yeah.
So all you have is a wrench. So then you turn around and you go boing, boing. And then at the same time, you've got like hooks coming down, trying to hook you, steam blowing up. And there's these obstacles as it's pushing you across that you've got to dodge and then hit the Terminator. And the best part is, the Terminator, it has a health bar for him. So I think it's like every 2 hits, maybe
so
3
you can
hits.
actually see damage being done.
Yes, so, because if you didn't, you'd just be like, what the hell am I doing? I'm just beating this dude up. So
you're deconstructing a Terminator with a wrench. That's their greatest weakness.
So once you get them down and travel, and I mean, it's not exactly easy. I mean, it's easier than probably a lot of the platforming in this game, but I mean, you can't get too close to the Terminator or he'll punch you. And there is plenty of obstacles that will hurt you that you're trying to navigate just to get a hit in. And so then once you hit him, the final time, it'll kind of walk out a little farther. And then there's this very pixelated, I'm guessing, Sarah Connor that throws. I thought it was an enemy at first, but it looks like she throws like a little piece of dynamite. And I'm guessing, I can't even remember in the movie, it must be one of these big phosphorus flares, and so your guy picks
a thermite grenade.
Yeah, and so he grabs it and turns around and sticks it in the Terminator, and it blows up. And of course, Reese just kind of falls back, and then it just shows the Terminator eye going,
powering on,
going from red, and then it goes from it shows you the visual of the Terminator, like with all the crosshairs and all that, and you see it like blipping off like a TV. And I'm like, that was a way cool way to end this game. I thought that was awesome. That was my favorite part of the whole game.
If I made it there, that would probably been my favorite part. But
now that I think of it, that game, that last level is a little bit more like almost a puzzle. It wasn't really a puzzle. It was just a little more strategy. I think if they would have probably focused more on that than just killing 1,000 different machines and people, it might have been a little bit better. But anyways, that's what I got that makes the game, Josh. So you rest your case on that as well?
Yeah, like I said, if I made it that far, because I did. Like I said, I turned on God mode, but man alive. I'm just going to go ahead and segue into the break it section.
Bring us into the break it.
So as I turned it on God mode, and even on God mode, you aren't invincible.
Yeah, you get like you can. The one I used would give you, it'd redo it, it'd give you max lives, but it wasn't infinite lives.
Yeah, it's not infinite.
You still took damage. You would get max ammo, so you would have to keep typing in your code to re-up the ammo.
Yeah, like I said, it was ridiculous. But overall, like I said, the levels are by far my biggest complaint.
Well, before we get to the levels, let me start with, it was weird just normally when it says, when it pops Arnold's face up there and it's got his little man boobs on there and they're like, start game. You hit start, it's like, bam, immediately. You're right there. I'm like, geez, like, you don't even tell me like level 1, like, so I was not ready for that. That was the first thing I thought that was strange.
See, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like that, but I didn't put it in the make it section because there was no fluff. It was you hit start, you going.
No, and that's where I'm like, hey, kind of expect just a little bit before you throw me in there, but at the same time you get thrown in there. It's a virtual wasteland. Everything's trying to kill you. Just go with it.
So I kept that as a neutral. I said it didn't make it. It didn't break the game. It was just a straight neutral.
So if you want to go ahead now and let's talk about the map, the levels. They were way too big.
They were enormous, and I understand. Like, okay, so playing this game, I'm assuming each level could have probably been broken down into at least 2 sub levels.
I think they were technically doing, like, I'm pretty sure on the back of the box it said there was 6 levels. To me, there were just 3 big levels. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like like in some of the games where you got 3 or 4 stages to clear a level, I feel like one of these maps was like playing all 4 of them at once.
Yeah, that's the thing, because,
And one of the things that pissed me off about that is there was no, like, progress save. So if you got killed...
No, there was progress save. And I noticed this.
Maybe after a boss or something.
That's the thing, is after you complete the level and you beat that boss, that's your progress save.
See, and that's kind of crap.
But they don't tell you about it.
But to get to that point, you damn well are going to have to fail several times, because this is one of those games where you pretty much got to figure out, you're going to learn where the enemies are as you go through. And so if you get literally the screen before a boss battle then, or right toward the edge, and you die, you start over at the damn beginning. Yeah,
you start back at level at 1. Yes. And that was the worst.
On top of some of the second stage where you were climbing the skyscrapers wasn't as bad for me, but like in that first stage you had the vertical level, like where you could move up and down, like, climb a ladder or whatever. To me, there was no real purpose to even climb that. It was unnecessary to me. Like,
if you didn't have God mode on, I could sort of justify it, because there was a little bit, there were some upgrades up there.
Well, my problem was when I would get an upgrade, I would pretty much take way more damage than what it was worth. So I'm just like, man, I'm just going to keep moving. Just keep moving.
That's what I did. Keep moving forward.
This is a pretty bad one.
Amy?
What do you... No, that's the next one I got. What do you call the damn little Terminator worms on the ground?
Don't know, never seen them. Well, I mean, I saw them, but I've never seen them in a movie.
Yeah.
So I was going to say graboid, but that's a shame to the Tremors movie. So I would call them... They're Terminator ones.
You couldn't shoot them. You had to hit them with a grenade or something. But the worst part was the way the stage was obstructed the view. Sometimes you couldn't even see the damn things.
Yeah,
and it's like, true. Hey, I get it, not being able to see a Terminator come out of the background when there's a big black hole. But that's cool. But like, you're getting cheap when you're covering the floor with these things, and I can't see where they're at. That was not fun to try to get past them, just because. Show me what they are. Put 100 of them out there and make it tough for me to get by. But don't penalize me because I can't see it through your crappy level design.
Yeah, I mean, and that I said that was going to be a little later on my list. The level design itself, like, I understand what you've done, but you obstructed the foreground to block enemies, which is a big failure on your part. Like I think that's a major failure in game development.
I mean, there's so much that's wrong with this. I know we're bouncing around, but this might be. There's a couple that are really bad. Let's go ahead, since you've spoke on it. Let's go ahead and talk about the aiming.
Oh, it was bullshit.
You can't aim up.
Not straight up.
Not straight up.
You can aim diagonally.
You can shoot on diagonals,
but you can't aim straight down either.
No. So it was that part sucked, especially when you make a game that you literally put 2 vertical paths. So it's like you're putting people up here that are going to try to obstruct me, or I'm going to have to defeat, but then you give me a horrible way to try to kill them. So instead of just running under them and holding a gun up like a normal person would do, let me, oh crap, I'm underneath this guy who is shooting straight down at me. Let me run over here at an angle and hit him 2 times and then run back over there and try to hit him at an angle. That was very aggravating. Very aggravating.
Okay, my downfall with the aiming is, you're shooting diagonals. All right, cool. I can do that. If the enemy wasn't already aimed at that diagonal spot, and it seems like every time you stepped into that frame, into that little pixelated area, it was an instant auto shot.
Yeah.
So that's why I never shot them. I just ran through the whole level. And then the whole auto shot thing was stupid because there was no consistency in their shooting.
And
ours, it was just a pew, pew, pew.
Well, and I feel like all this really ties in to the level design, and because the controls were good.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's even that. I mean, if you could have did a better level design, I think it would have made the game a lot better. If you could have shot straight up and down, it would have probably made the game a lot better. If there was more progress saves, if you had, and all that is like, I can deal with it, but then there's no damn continues.
Yeah.
So then it's like, shit. Like, all of this sucks. Like, if you give me continues, maybe it's not even that bad. But it's like, literally, there's 4 things here that is pretty broken in here to me that isn't enjoyable.
It breaks
but
the
if
game.
you give me one of those things, I can probably power through it a little easier.
Yeah.
Or if you give me 2 of them, I'm probably not going to complain. I'll just say, that's a little weird, but it was okay. But it's like, you put all that together, and it's just like a big cluster.
Yeah. I mean, we've already played games right now that didn't have no continues in it already. And, like I said, it was a bit difficult, but I don't think those games were as hard as this one.
Well, one of the things I got in here, this game is way too damn hard.
Oh, it's extremely tough.
Now,
extremely
we do
tough.
have some speedrunners, so I know we got people who can beat this game straight out. I did not want to beat it straight out. I do not want to put time in it.
Props to them.
I'm going to go ahead. I've got other stuff, but we've been dancing around it. The 2 probably god-awfulest things. And I've got one of these this is god-awful wrote down here. The over-annoying sound of your gun going off is one thing, and the music in this game sucks.
Wasn't good.
But the damn jump sound that your dude made was god-awful. That was the absolute worst part of the game. It was like a woink, woink, or I don't even know. But every time you jumped, which you have to jump several times in this damn game, like a lot, and you had to listen to it. At one point, my sound actually crapped out, and I'm like, I'm okay with that because I ain't got to listen to the shit.
I turned my sounds off.
That was, to me, that sound was the worst part of the whole game. A couple of things that I did notice too is the game chugged quite a few times. Like, it was trying to catch up. I don't know if it was catching up with a frame rate or like it just having too many enemies on the screen, but it did seem like there was several times where the game would just slow down and start trying to chug,
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's kind of weird. I normally don't, see that quite often on the games. The little boss fights where you can't really move, like when I'm on the second stage there on top of the roofs and you're fighting that helicopter, it's like your guy's running in place, but it won't let him move, but then you're shooting a helicopter and you have to stand in one spot. So, hey, guess what? It's pretty damn easy to hit you. Not that I could have avoided it anyway.
Yeah, no.
But it's like, come on.
There were certain areas where you had to take hits. Like, no matter what, you had to take hits.
And it was just like, I feel like there was some, I guess, type of mini games, and I've got them in here as well, in what breaks it. But it's like you couldn't have gave me a better interface, maybe, to play a helicopter other than just hold me in one spot, which now, mind you, you shot it like 3 times and the thing would disappear. So it was really, I guess, somewhat minor, but it was weird. If I don't know if you got to the part, Josh, there's a part where, early on, you're in the turret, in the back of a truck on a turret.
I made it there.
And that was where the whole angle thing really pissed me off.
Oh, dude, it was
and
the
worst.
worst.
And you sat in one spot, and you're trying to hit this thing.
It was the worst.
Now, I killed him pretty easy, but it was not fun. And then, later on, there is the car chase scenes. So you're in a car and
I didn't make it that far.
Yeah, you got the Terminator in a cop car chasing you. You're shooting back at it. And the whole time there's little signs popping up telling you left and right. No, it was not fun. After you did that, then you had a motorcycle chasing you. And that's what led you to the last level. Spoiler alert. Not fun either. And I was like, well, I'm not mad for him taking a different approach, but it sucked.
Well, okay, did the dude on the motorcycle at least look like the Terminator?
No, you got a back view of him. So you literally seen
the back of his head.
A motorcycle, we're talking very small. It reminded me of those damn little arcade machines you had when you were really young in the 80s, where you just steered the little car it was, the track was predetermined.
Yeah.
That's what it kind of looked
sort of like pole position.
Yeah. Way worse.
Yeah.
Way worse. So, that part sucked. And I don't think I have anything else.
No, I didn't make it to the end of the game.
Well, if it wasn't for a God mode, there's no way I would want to nor need to get to it. I feel like there's way more hatreds than there are positives on it, keep in mind, what I'm interested in, this game is in 1992. I'm wondering
how T2 is.
I want to see T2.
I want to see T2
because I have a feeling that T2 is going to have a lot of the same problems, but I can get an early game having these issues. Like, say, the graphics weren't great, but for the time, I think it was pretty spot on.
It was pretty good. Pretty good
and,
for the time frame.
I think some of the level design sucked a little bit, but as far as the graphics, but I think the sprites look fine.
Yeah, again, it was 92, so they done what they done with what they had. So I can accept that.
I was worried when I started playing this. It was pretty obvious what the flaws were. I was worried what I was going to find that helped make it, because there was a lot that was breaking it right off the bat. And I was kind of pleasantly surprised as we went on. There was a little bit more there than I thought.
A little bit more meat.
Yeah. So I guess we're done with dissecting the make it and break it. So now we've got speedrun, we got ranking, we've got price charting, and we've got several fun facts from the movie. Just to put it out there, it was hard enough to even find Terminator on eBay because there's so many freaking Terminator games and movies. I was not going deep into the lore of the game, so I'm just going to get some of the movie fun facts here. So I guess we're going to start with speedruns, right?
Of course. Let's do some speedruns.
2 people have completed a speedrun.
Lay Hook, be our boy.
No, they are 2 newbies to us.
Ooh, good names? Or names?
Yeah, one of them's probably, you would say, is good. One's,
Okay.
So, an American, which is the flag that has, the Union Jack and the stars? Is that Australia or, New Zealand?
Something, yeah, it's somewhere over there in that region.
So there's 2 people. There's a cat from USA and New Zealand, Australia. Not really sure. I'm ignorant as far as flags, but we had 2 of them there. They were within about 20 seconds of each other. If you were speedrunning this game, Josh, how long do you think it would take you to complete it? I mean, if I'm on God mode and it took me 45 minutes.
Oh, speedrun, not God mode? An hour, 2 hours, because I'd have to learn every aspect of this damn game.
You're right. I would hate to know how many runs you have to put in, but 2 people, 3 years ago, both of them, it was 3 years ago. The record is held by an American called EMAGEN 303. So I'm guessing it's Imogen 303? Imogen?
Imogen, yeah, I go with Imogen. That's not bad.
Here's the one I figured you'd like, the Australian or the New Zealand.
Oh, give me a platypus in there.
LUCHAGYM. It's Luca Gym.
I like Luca Gym.
I got you.
I like Luca Gym.
So Luca had a speed run. These were pretty impressive. Second place's speed run was 11 minutes and 54 seconds.
The fuck you say?
I almost wanted to go back and see if there was an uploaded video just to watch it.
Yeah.
Because
I'd
would have to be insane. Well, Imogene came in at 11 minutes and 27 seconds. To beat this game in 11 minutes blows
There's
my mind.
no way.
Well,
okay. Maybe because you did have iframes.
Well, there is... The thing with this game is there's not really any puzzles. It's a platformer, make it to the exit.
Yeah.
So I guess if you know the most optimum route... And I did see some gameplay with people shooting at angles like it wasn't no business. Way better than I could ever do it. And I guess you just get used to playing with the crappy controls and it comes second nature to you. But I guess as long as you can make it from point A to point B quicker. I mean, I know that's all the speed run is, obviously, but there isn't anything you really have to solve or collect. You just got to get to the exit, essentially, in this game.
Yeah, I can see that, but dude, under 12 minutes for this game, there's no way.
It's pretty strong.
There's no way. I couldn't have done it. No.
All right, you want fun facts or you want trivia?
Oh, I like my trivia. I like my trivia a lot.
I think we got to do, or I think we need to do price charting and then do some fun facts.
Okay, yeah. Dude, you're driving this boat.
Okay.
I'm here for the ride.
What do you think a loose copy of this runs, Josh? Just to put it out there, there was a little bit more variance than we have been getting between price charting and eBay, and eBay did not have a new copy. So I'm leaning on price charting on this.
Okay, that's fine.
So a loose copy.
Loose copy for this game. I'm assuming it was mass produced.
I would say you're right.
Because
just because it was on every damn system.
Yeah.
And I would say they just were printing these things like hotcakes. I bet damn Skynet and Cyberdyne was just printing these things like fools to take over the world.
Is this how they get us?
It might be.
This is how they get us. Everybody who owns a copy of Terminator is going to die?
It could. It's like a damn Decepticon.
So I'm going to go with this. I'm going to assume this thing was mass produced. It was also whenever Terminator was, I think, the turning point of movies with CGI, puppeteers, and stuff like that.
They did give it credit with starting like its own genre, like Total Recall, and stuff. So yeah, I agree with that.
So I'm going to throw this out here. I'm going to say $13 for a loose copy.
I was surprised at how expensive this game was. It's not outrageously expensive, but to me, I could have seen 10, 12,
13.
15,
I'd say 13 is a solid choice for me.
Price charting, it feels low on it. They had it at $27.32. eBay roughly was about $33
for a loose.
For a loose.
Oh shit.
Yeah, like I felt.
Oh god.
Like I feel like people are supposed to be working off nostalgia, or like I'm sure there are people that is all about the Terminator lore. I'm sure there's probably books and everything as long as it's been around. What do you think a complete copy is? Put your.
I'm doing my math. Give me a second.
Your equation.
So I'm going to call this. Let's see here. How much did you say a loose was?
Between 27 and 33.
All right.
Call it 30. That's
I'm going to call it 30. I'm going to go with 120 there, Bob.
You're pretty close. Close enough they ain't going to grill you and ask you again. Price charting. So what you multiply by 4? Correct?
Multiply by 4.
Okay. Price charting had theirs loose at 27. They had the complete at 88.46. So they were probably about
that's $40.
3 and some change.
Yeah.
Times 3 and some change. eBay was pretty much about spot on the same equation. eBay had it 33. What I seen on there was selling for about 109. What had sold. I wasn't going with what people were asking. I was going with the sold.
Yeah, you're going by actual what was sold.
So if you're going to split the difference, you could say, hey, it's $30 loose. You call it $100 complete. Cool. Once again, the complete copy being $88, going with price charting, I was kind of surprised. I was surprised that the game was that expensive, and I was surprised that the new version, the sealed copy, was fairly cheap for what I thought it would be, an $88 game. What is your equation on that?
I normally times it by 3.
Well, do what you do, and let's just see.
So that'd be $360 is what I would say for a new copy.
A new copy they had it on price charting at $283.
Okay,
Which seems weird for a complete copy to be 88.
Yeah, I'm only off the $80 on that.
I think they had some graded copies. Of course, that's going to
graded. That's a completely
they had
different
graded at like $380.
I say graded is a completely different beast.
So at the end of the day, Josh, if I said, "Hey, you can,"
well, you didn't tell me eBay.
Well, eBay didn't have a new copy.
Oh, that's right.
I couldn't find nothing. So
that's right. Never mind.
I would say, just judging by the process, I'd say eBay was probably, if they were 280, 283, I'd say eBay is probably 320. If I had to just go off the others,
yeah.
Call it $300. If you said loose on average, it's $30. Complete on average is like $100, and new $300. I get that, and that kind of goes with the equation that you use. So at the end of the day, Josh, if I said this loose copy here of Terminator with Arnold Schwarzenegger with that gun up on his damn shoulder looking at you like he's about to terminate something, I say you can have this cartridge or you can have $15. Which would you take?
I'll take the 15.
I would take the 15
because this game, it wasn't good.
Now I do not own this game per se, so I would keep it as just to have in the collection. But if I had this game and I wanted to give it to somebody because they had to play it, or take $15, or what, I would take $15 over this game.
Yeah,
I mean, it wasn't the worst game that we've ever played, but it definitely was not good. So with all that being said, Josh, before we get to ranking, here's some fun facts. And you held your hand up at me earlier, and one of these was a question I was going to ask you because I did not know the answer to this.
Give me my trivia and my fun facts. Because I love...
How many Terminator movies are there?
Okay, the ones that I know of is Terminator,
okay,
T2, T3. Then you also got T4, which is futuristic. And then you got Genesis. So I'm going to go with 5.
You missed one.
What'd I miss?
I think there's a new one. It's called Dark Fate. I was upset. I thought there was going to be like 14 movies of some sort.
What's Dark Fate? Hang on, no, I gotta look this up.
So to put this in while you look up Dark Fate, I think that's one that's pretty new. There is 6 movies. There's been 1 TV show and a web series based off the Terminator. Which, for it being around as long as it had, I figured there would be way more.
A TV show I can understand.
And the TV
show. Oh
shit!
Yeah, Dark Fate. Dark Fate is them summing up the timeline. I watched that.
So, the TV show obviously was the Sarah Connor Chronicles. I did watch like the first 3 or 4 episodes. I thought it was awesome. I think it really took a nosedive pretty quick.
Here's my fun fact about the Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles. Is that's whenever football, the FX robot, got his ass kicked by 4 Terminators that showed up out of nowhere and destroyed him. That was their opening commercial. I remember that.
Okay. So, here's some fun facts. There's a couple here that deal with Cameron. Apparently, James Cameron was a real piece of work to work with.
He still is.
They said that on the set that there were people actually wearing shirts that said, "You can't scare me. I work for James Cameron," or something like that.
Yeah. So apparently, James Cameron is he's a different guy to work for.
So. I'm going to give one that a lot of them is to do with casting and stuff, but this one actually had something to do with the movie that he had to change from his original script. Originally, he was going to have 4 time travelers instead of just the 2, Reese and Arnold.
Okay.
And this is going to pique you up a little bit here. They said they were going to send 2 human and 2 cyborgs. One of the humans was going to be Reese. The other human was going to die upon materializing into the past. He was going to materialize into a wire fence, which would have killed him. So that kind of puts in the whole thing of
the shirt. Man.
I don't know if the shirt's going to get you, but they were going to actually say, "Hey, we're sending 2 guys back. One of them was going to die in the travel." And the other Terminator they were going to send back with Arnold was going to be made out of liquid metal. But due to budget restraints and special effects limitations, he got moved to Terminator 2. Which I think is the best Terminator movie by far.
Terminator 2 is I agree with you. It's so good because that's where you get the classic sound that I keep doing, the cuckoo cuckoo.
Well, and all the movies seems like they have and this will come into it, but Terminator 2 is the hasta la vista, baby.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
it was just, I'll tell you where I was all fired up was when Arnold's walking through there and he's got those roses and he pulls that shotgun out.
Dude, best part of the scene, best part of the movie.
And I think the guy that played John Connor, and I think that Sarah Connor played a good, crazy Sarah Connor. I mean, great movie. If you don't,
solid movie.
If you don't like Terminator 2, you ain't gonna like any Terminator.
No.
And I think you can watch Terminator 2 without really watching Terminator 1. I did. That's how I watched it out of order. I had to go back and watch it. Terminator 1, I watched it a couple of years ago. It was better than I thought it would be.
Dude, I rewatched them all.
I like watching the new ones too.
I rewatched every Terminator movie. I'd say probably about maybe a year and a half ago.
So
and I'm not gonna lie, I did purge Terminator 4 Salvation out of my memory banks. That's why I said 5. Because that is by far the worst of the Terminator movies.
Okay. I like Genesis a lot. I watched it. Genesis, one thing I liked about Genesis was that helicopter crash scene with Christian Bale in it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, man, I've never been in a helicopter wreck, but I would imagine that's exactly
how it goes down.
So here was some of the casting. Cameron originally wasn't wanting... I mean, Arnold was not the original cast. He was thinking of Lance Henriksen. O.J. Simpson was considered.
That would have been a good one.
He would have straight up killed some Terminators.
That would have been a good one.
Sylvester Stallone, Michael Douglas, Kevin Kline, and Mel Gibson turned the part down. Also, Tom Selleck turned it down. I think from what they said when Arnold came in, he was wanting to play the role of Reese. And Cameron didn't even want to take his... I think that's kind of a common thing, talking about True Lies. It's a lot. He didn't even really want to take an interview from him, but after he interviewed for Reese, they actually decided he would have been a better Terminator. And Michael Biehn, that played Reese, he auditioned for the role, but the original folks that Cameron was hoping for was Sting and Bruce Willis. And Biehn actually came in and interviewed, and they liked him. They said he almost messed his interview up because he came from like a play and he was speaking with a southern accent, but I guess whatever his interview was good enough. They said lose the accent and you got the job.
Well, I mean, Biehn, he's also a method actor. He's that type of person, you know. But overall, like, I don't think the Terminator, playing the Terminator Mel Gibson, that wouldn't have been good.
So...
Like everything that you just told me is blessings in disguise.
Right. You know, that's unanswered prayers.
Yeah, right there. That's straight up blessings in disguise.
So, one of them is kind of interesting. This kind of, I think, gives you... And I don't know the cat, so James Cameron may be the best guy in the world, but he really seems like an asshole.
He's an asshole.
So, Arnold wanted to change the line. So, in the place where he's at the police station, he wants to get in. They say he can't, and he goes, I'll be back. He wanted to change that line. They actually had a different quote for it, and then they ended up changing it. And Arnold said he wanted to say, I will be back. And Cameron says no. And Arnold's like, a machine won't be able to handle the contractions of I'll be back.
Okay, I support Arnold in this.
So James Cameron told him, he says, I don't tell you how to act, and you don't tell me how to write. And that stayed with I'll be back, which I think I'll be back is way better than I will be back. And that's what Arnold wanted. So I feel like Cameron...
I understand Arnold's like, I don't like, if Skynet is a thing, if we're ever overrun by Terminators or machines or whatever, then yes, I hate to say this, but do you know the best way to prove how someone's not a machine? That will tell them to use the contraction ain't correctly.
That's right. Well, I don't know. So here's one thing I did not know about the movie. This is my last fun fact. That Cameron was sued for plagiarism over Terminator by 2 different people. So one of them kind of seems like a quack job. Well, I don't know. They both may be. But he got sued by a guy named Harlan Ellison. I guess it's a guy. And a woman named Sophia Stewart. I guess she's a girl. Stewart said that in 1981, the novel Third Eye was one of the books she wrote. It tells a story about a dystopian future where the machines risen and take it over. She filed a lawsuit on Cameron. It failed. She also filed a lawsuit against The Matrix as well, and it failed as well. But somebody who actually got paid, Harlan Ellison, claimed that Cameron had copied 2 episodes of the TV show The Outer Limits that he had written. One was called Soldier in 1964, where 2 soldiers are sent back from a dystopian future, and the other was called Neiman with the Glass Hand, where travelers go back in time to protect the savior of mankind. Cameron wanted to go to court over it, but the company Orion that produced the movie, they said it wasn't worth it, so they settled. And they paid Ellison $65,000. Now, back in that time, that's a lot more money.
I was about to say, what was the time frame? Or the time?
This would have been... it didn't say when the lawsuit was. I know that when Sophia failed on hers, but this had to be when the movie was released, because not only did he get $65,000, but in the end credits, they had to put acknowledgement to the works of Harlan Ellison in the credits of the movie.
Okay.
So Cameron, when asked about Ellison, refers to Ellison as, he's a parasite who can kiss my ass. And I can understand, especially if he feels that he didn't plagiarize it. And I don't know. I'm not going to go back, nor do I care if he did or didn't. I'd be pretty pissed off too. I did have one last thing that is, I guess, somewhat of a fun fact. I was going to drop it early in. I'm
going to drop a fun fact for you right now, because I just looked it up.
What's that?
That $65,000, the equivalent of it, and right now in 2023, is $188,000.
Well, also, the budget for the Terminator was pretty small. It was only $6.4 million, but it did manage to gross $78.3 million worldwide. So that's a pretty huge return. So at the end of the day, you kind of see... I thought Terminator was a mediocre movie. I thought it was above average than mediocre. But if that one grossed that amount, I'd hate to know what T2, because like the other movies are just so much better, whether it be the special effects or whatever.
Well, now I'm going to ask you a serious question.
Okay.
Because there's 6 Terminator movies, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I've not watched all 6.
You haven't watched all? I've watched all 6. Let's see here. Just give me 1 second. Okay. So my question is this: what would you rather watch, the Terminator movies or the Transformer movies?
Terminator.
100%.
I'm over the Transformer movies.
I am 100%. Okay, what about Terminator or Fast and the Furious?
Terminator.
So we wrote Fast 8.
Now, the fun fact for me is I'd never seen Terminator 3 until it came on TV, and literally every time I would catch it, it was like 30 minutes in the movie. I could never finish it. It took me like 4 years before I could ever sit down and watch the whole movie of Terminator 3, which I freaking love. Everybody hates it, but it's like...
It's a solid movie. It's a decent movie.
I've been with that movie trying to watch it longer than some past relationships. So I've got a soft spot in my heart for Terminator 3.
Terminator 3 is a solid movie. Like, it's not terrible, but it's a solid movie.
I like Terminator that isn't trying to kill John Connor. I like my Arnold not killing John Connor, and until the twist comes in or something.
I liked it because we finally saw Skynet achieve what it wanted. That's why I like T3.
So we're going to go ahead and run through here. We got to rank them, Josh. Then we're getting out of here. This is 17th game. I got to run through them super quick. I got a strong feeling that this will probably be on the bottom 8 than the top 8. I could be wrong on this, but going 1 through 16, just powering through, is Family Feud, Super Putty, Mickey and Minnie, Dragon View, True Lies, Jeopardy Sports, Fatal Fury, Mr. Nuts, Time Slip, Dracula, No Escape, Roger Clemens, Kid Cleats, Obidus, Mario's Time Machine, and The Untouchables.
Yep. That's my list. And you don't know me.
Okay.
I mean, you know me good. We work together.
I'll go ahead and tell you, if you try to tell me this game's better than the other one of True Lies, then you're out your damn mind.
Oh, yeah, 100%. This is not better than True Lies. So, we're jiving down here in the bottom.
We're united on the bottom.
See here, the bottom, what, 4? 5?
Yeah, Untouchables, Time Machine, Obidus, Kid Cleats,
Roger Clemens. Bottom 5, we're jiving hard.
Okay, so where you got this at?
I'm going to put this, okay. I have a feeling we'll be tight on this too.
I don't know. I've not got a set number for mine, and I'm talking my way through. So when I give you my reasoning last week, it swayed you one way or another. So
this is my reasoning right here. All right, this is a game based off of a movie, correct?
Yep.
So you can watch the movie. It doesn't help you in the game.
That is correct.
My number 11, No Escape. If you watch the movie, it helps you through the game.
Right.
Just run. So therefore, I'm putting Terminator right above Roger Clemens and right below No Escape.
So you're dropping him in there at number 12.
Number 12 is where I'm putting him. Just because of that little fact.
Well, I've got a similar thinking, but I don't think I'm going to have the same ranking as you. So, hammering it out, 1 to 16, Jeopardy, Dragon View, True Lies, Family Feud, Mickey and Minnie, Mr. Nuts, Time Slip, No Escape, Super Putty, Dracula, Fatal Fury, Roger Clemens, Kid Cleats, Obidus, and Mario's Time Machine, and Untouchables. This game wasn't good. Now, I got True Lies up at number 3. I liked it a lot. This game is way worse than True Lies. I wouldn't say that it's really that worse. I think True Lies was so much better than the other movie games. I feel like this was an average game based off a movie. So at the end of the day, what I'm sitting here and I'm like, Kid Cleats, Obidus, they're all way worse. And the first thing that I come to that catches my eye is No Escape. And so my thinking with No Escape is they're pretty similar top games. They're damn near impossible to play. But I wasn't going to say you watched the movie and it helped you. I was just going to say No Escape's just really weird, and I appreciate the weirdness more than I do the Terminator game. Like, I don't think that I would enjoy playing either. I would probably stand a better chance of progressing farther and having more fun with Terminator, but I don't know why No Escape has its hooks in me. Like, it's such a weird movie. It's a weird game. Neither one of them's that great, but yeah, I'm entertained as shit about it. So I think you are right. I'm putting mine directly below No Escape. I've got No Escape at number 8. I'm going below No Escape and above Super Putty. I'm putting it at number 9. And the other part that really seals it for me is this game was better than Dracula. Like, you could argue Super Putty. I could probably go back and forth on it. So when I've got No Escape at 8 and Dracula at 10, I know it's going in between there. I'm going to put it above Super Putty. Maybe later I could go. You could argue it the other way for me, but I do agree that No Escape is the 1A game and Terminator is 1B on this.
The reasoning why I think you're wrong on that rating is you can beat Dracula without God mode.
Well, that is true, but I did not enjoy Dracula at all.
That's why that's why I put Terminator down so low. Is to me, this game would not have been plausible at all without God mode.
This game was, to me, would be the epitome. If I owned this game, I would be upset. If I'd bought it brand new from a store, I would have probably had more qualm with it. But if this was one of the games you picked up off the shelf and rented, it would have just been an okay game, and you took it back the next day. You wouldn't have asked to keep it again.
It would have been hard to have this over the weekend.
Yeah. If you would have rented it on Thursday or Friday, had to have it back by Saturday, I think that's the appropriate amount of time you play this one. But other than that, Josh, I think that's going to wrap us up.
Yeah, I got nothing else, but I think you're wrong on the rating of that, but that's just my personal opinion.
You know what I care about your opinion?
Nothing.
Jack and shit. All right, well, we're going to get the next one. See ya.
See y'all.